Chemistry Lab Briefing video. Using an analytical balance to weigh the mass of potassium iodide solid. Firstly, check if the balance is turned on. If not, press the on or off button and wait until the display reaches 0.0 gram. Place an empty beaker on the balance pan, then press the tab button to set the reading to 0. Carefully add the substance to the container. Record the mass. Making standard solution of potassium iodide. To make standard solution, add 25 ml of distilled water into the beaker that contains the potassium iodide that you have weighed and stir with glass rod to dissolve all the potassium iodide solid. Next, pour the potassium iodide solution through a filter funnel into a 250 ml volumetric flask. Rinse the beaker to make sure all the substance goes into the volumetric flask. Then, add in more distilled water to the volumetric flask up to the mark on the neck of the flask. Put the stopper in place and shake the flask until you get a homogeneous solution. How to use pipette. Clean and rinse the pipette with the solution to be transferred. Next, pour the solution more than needed into a clean beaker. Never fill the pipette directly from a reagent bottle. Dip the tip of the pipette into the liquid in the beaker. If you are using a pipette pump, firstly, squeeze the pump while holding area A to create a vacuum. Put the end of the pipette tube into the liquid and squeeze area S. Watch carefully. The liquid rises quickly. Fill the pipette to a level just higher than you need for the experiment. Release area S. Put the pipette tube into the area you want to dispense the liquid. Squeeze area E to release the fluid. The harder you squeeze, the faster the liquid comes out. Make sure you record the exact volume. If you are using a pipette pump, firstly, insert the cotton-filled end of a pipette into the end of a pipette pump. Using the wheel at the top of the pump, raise the white top of the pump approximately 1 cm before inserting the pipette into the liquid. Place the tapered tip of the pipette into the liquid. Hold the pipette pump with one hand. Use your thumb to rotate the wheel downward. This will cause the liquid to rise into the pipette. Do this carefully and watch the meniscus of the liquid rise to your desired level and move the liquid. Before using the burette, it must be cleaned and then rinse it with distilled water. To fill a burette, close the stopcock at the bottom of the burette. Using a dry filter funnel, fill the burette to above the 0 mark. Remove the filter funnel from the burette and clamp the burette vertically to a retort stand. Before titrating, check that the solution in the burette is flowing freely by opening and closing the stopcock. Check the tip of the burette for air bubbles. If there are air bubbles, remove them by tapping gently the side of the tip of the burette while allowing the solution to flow. Air bubbles may cause errors in readings if they are not removed. When your burette is conditioned and filled with no air bubbles or leaks, take the initial volume reading. Burette readings should be up to 2 decimal points, plus minus 0.05 for meniscus. Put a white tile under the burette and put a conical or titration flask on top of the white tile. The titration flask commonly used is the 100 ml and 250 ml conical flask. Dispense the solution in the burette into the titration flask by turning the stopcock slowly to allow the solution to flow down gently into the flask. While titration is in progress, always control the stopcock with your left hand, and swirl the solution in the conical flask with your right hand. Initially, the solution should be dispensed quickly until a few milliliters from the endpoint. When the endpoint is closed, titrate slowly, a drop at a time. Record the level of the meniscus in the burette carefully after every titration. After that, use a wash bottle to rinse the tip of the burette and the sides of the flask.